This is the third part of the World War I notes. Why the United States joined World War I. So the first reason is because of the Lusitania. In 1915, the Lusitania was sunk. It was a passenger ship traveling from New York over to London, over to England, and there were 114 Americans on board, along with about 1,000 other passengers. And we had told our travelers not to, or the Germans had said, we're going to start sinking ships. Don't travel on passenger ships, you might get sunk. But people didn't really pay attention to that. Now, the Germans practiced what was called unrestricted submarine warfare, and they sank the Lusitania, claiming that there were bombs and bullets going to Britain from the United States at the bottom of the ship. We claimed there weren't, and so a lot of Americans got very mad about the sinking of the Lusitania. So that's the first reason, right? A big number one next to that. Second reason, number two, is because of different types of submarine warfare. Restricted submarine warfare is where the German U-boat says, we'll stop you. We'll let you get your crew off into the light boats, and then we'll sink your ship so that nobody dies. And they had been practicing this after the Lusitania because the United States got so mad. Now they're going to move eventually back to unrestricted submarine warfare, so put a big number two next to that, which is where they start sinking anything that they see without warning, and people start to die. So this is the Germans sinking other American and British ships, even neutral American ships, which you're not supposed to sink neutral ships. The third reason is going to be the Zimmerman telegram that was sent from Germany to Mexico, asking Mexico to attack the United States. And this is a picture of the actual telegram. It was sent through Western Union, which is an American company, so it was intercepted in 1917, and they broke the code and published it on the front page of the newspaper. And a lot of Americans got really mad about asking Mexico to attack the United States. Now, of course, Mexico doesn't do this. They realize that they're not really powerful enough to attack the United States. But Germany is hoping that they can stall the United States' entry into the war just long enough so that they can defeat England and France. Once Germany defeats England and France, they would attack the United States with Mexico and then give Mexico back territory that they had lost in 1845, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, back to Mexico. So these three things combined make Americans very mad. The final straw is that Germany starts practicing unrestricted sub-warfare again, sinking all of our merchant ships, and more Americans are dying. So on April 6, 1917, America declares war on Germany, and then on Austria and Hungary. So this ends World War I. Now remember that in France, on the Western Front, and in Russia on the Eastern Front, they've been fighting for the last 3 years, and the United States has been neutral. So the United States starts shipping troops to Europe to help fight. You'll have to add that into your notes this year. And this war becomes a total war for all of the countries involved, where all of the resources of a country are devoted to the war cause, meaning all of your you're going to collect tin cans to go be melted down and made into bullets. You're going to grow a victory garden so that way the wheat that your farmers grow can be sent to your soldiers overseas. So the civilians become key to victory because of their value to the war-making power of each nation. We're not just relying on our soldiers, we're going to rely on our civilians as well, our non-military members. So over in Europe, Germany is going to launch one final assault. Russia's out of the war so that they have moved all of their soldiers from the Eastern Front over to the Western Front to fight France. And so in the spring of 1918, they launched one final assault trying to get to Paris, but unfortunately for Germany at this time, the United States troops start arriving in France and start getting sent to the front line along this path. And so the Allies counterattack with what's called the 100 Days Offensive. And it's going to be a disaster for Germany because they're unable to defend the front, they're running out of troops and supplies, and so they're going to be pushed back into Germany. At this point, the Germans have run out of troops, and so they're going to end up having to have 12-year-olds running artillery brigades and all that kind of thing and bringing grandfathers to fight. So by November of 1918, within a couple months of fighting on the front with the American troops, the Central Powers, Germany and Austria, have collapsed. They ask for an armistice, which is a pause to the war. We're going to stop fighting, we're going to lay down our guns, and the war officially ends. But it's not quite officially ended because we still have to work out a treaty. However, everyone around the world is very excited. We have peace, as Germany signs an armistice on November 11th at 11 o'clock in the morning, so it's 11/11/11. And the war is over, and now it's time to sign a peace treaty. So a couple of quick effects of the war. Millions of people are going to die in this war, and not just casualties from battles, but also civilians are going to die. Here's a showing the military deaths. This is just deaths. This is not casualties or wounded. Russia, 1.7 million men. Germany, 1.7 million. France, 1.3 million. Austria-Hungary, 1.2 million. So it's approximately 10 million dead for the military. That's not, that 10 million would include civilians as well, so a lot of people die. We end up with bodies all across France, and we end up burying them in cemeteries. And so there are a lot of cemeteries over in Europe for World War I veterans. Second effect is we're going to have new weapons created, like our tanks, poison gas, our new artillery, submarines. We use the gas masks. We use machine guns. And from the gas attacks, if you don't die, we're going to end up having a lot of wounded. And so this is the first war where we have to figure out, what do we do with all of these wounded who haven't died after the war? How do we integrate them back into society, especially if they're blinded from the gas, where you can see the soldiers here. Gas will also affect your skin, like in this picture as well. Third effect are new jobs for women. They're going to start working in factories as well, and women are going to get votes. Fourth effect is we're going to see land destroyed from the bombings. You can see all the pock markets. Towns and buildings are going to be destroyed across the country. And we end up seeing all these trenches, and what do we do with all of these trenches? So we're going to look at some documents in class. What was the most important reason America declared war, and talk about that. There'll be one more set of notes.